Trump's allies spreading false alarm? Iran flatly rejects Western claims about a supposed attack at sea. Tehran has firmly declared that no bulk carrier was attacked in the Strait of Hormuz, directly contradicting a UK maritime alert. Earlier, the UK Maritime Trade Operations Agency had reported that a cargo vessel was attacked by Iranian forces off the coast of Syria, suggesting a serious escalation at sea. Iran moved quickly to shatter those claims just as Donald Trump announced his new Project Freedom for stranded ships, exposing the gap between Western narratives and Tehran's version of events. Tehran is furious as Trump attempts to assert fresh control over the Strait of Hormuz, a vital choke point Iran regards as its own backyard. Just hours after the UKMTO flagged a maritime incident on May 3rd, Iran rushed out a formal clarification to calm the situation and challenge the Western account. Tehran framed its version as a factual correction. According to Iran's fast news agency, reports that Iranian forces seized or attacked a bulk carrier are simply incorrect and have no basis in what actually happened. Fars reported that the passing vessel was only stopped by the Iranian Navy for a standard document inspection, a common practice in waters Iran says it is responsible for securing. The report added that Iranian forces followed routine monitoring procedures throughout, suggesting nothing more than normal maritime policing. This Iranian version directly contradicts the earlier UKMTO claim that a bulk carrier was attacked near the coast of Syria, Iran, by unidentified small craft. On May 3rd, a bulk carrier radioed in an attack by small boats off Iran's Syriac coast, according to maritime alerts, raising new alarms for commercial crews already on edge. The vessel was struck roughly 11 nautical miles west of the port of Syria, close enough to the Strait of Hormuz to remind everyone how exposed ships remain in this narrow corridor. After the incident, reports stressed that all crew members were safe and no environmental damage had been recorded, but the psychological shock to shippers was unmistakable. Regional monitoring centers responded by warning other vessels to transit with caution through the area, underscoring that threats to navigation are still very real despite US assurances. This latest event adds to a tally of nearly 24 attacks and incidents around Hormuz since the war began, painting a picture of a waterway where risk is now routine. Iran's clarification landed at the same moment Trump unveiled his so-called Project Freedom, a plan he says is meant to help stranded ships get out of the strait safely. According to US leaks, the initiative would act as a coordination cell, guiding US-flagged and other selected vessels through what Washington calls safer routes. Instead of open convoys, it would issue recommended tracks and timing. The plan is advertised as a non-escalatory effort that simply identifies routes free of threats such as mines or harassment, without providing direct military escorts. But the announcement drew a sharp and angry response from Iran, which says any unilateral US scheme in Hormuz breaches the fragile ceasefire. One Iranian MP went further, warning that any intervention by the Americans in Hormuz would be a breach of the ceasefire, and could trigger a strong response. Iran is hardening its stance over Hormuz, just as the IRGC publicly warned that Trump's choices have shrunk to either war or what they brand humiliating bad deal. Deputy Parliament Speaker Ali Niksad has warned that conditions in the Strait of Hormuz will not revert to their pre-war status, signaling that Tehran sees the current leverage as permanent. Speaking on May 2nd, Niksad described Hormuz as Iran's natural right, and even likened the waterway to the country's atomic bomb, a metaphor for the pressure it can exert on global energy flows. He vowed Iran will not step back from its position in the strait, praising residents of Hormuzgan province and the armed forces there for leaving the enemy helpless during the crisis. Niksad also revealed MPs are drafting a law that would permanently bar Israeli-flagged vessels and restrict passage for hostile states like the US, putting legal teeth behind Tehran's threat.
What is certain is that we will not step back from the Strait of Hormuz, and it will not return to its pre-war state, and the people of Hormuzgan province, along with the armed forces stationed there, have carried out a significant task. The enemy was left helpless, and although U.S. President Donald Trump declared he would reopen the strait that had been closed, he was unable to do so. He has now raised the issue of a blockade. Be certain that this too will fail. Under the law that will be adopted, Vessels belonging to the Zionist regime will under no circumstances be allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Hostile countries, headed by the United States, will also not have the right of passage. Other vessels wishing to transit will do so under the law we enact, and with authorization obtained from the Commander-in-Chief and placed at the disposal of our armed forces. We will provide services such as safety, environmental protection, and guidance for vessels, and we will charge them fees for these services. This is common practice worldwide, and the revenues will be used to strengthen our defensive capabilities, as well as to support people's livelihoods and complete and rebuild the country's infrastructure.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that we will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.